Bai Chi, affectionately known as BQ, is the new infantry commander that is just dropped in the game, and he's currently on these wheel cycles. And we're going to break down everything you need to know about this guy, all the talents you need to run, all the pairings you need to consider, all the armaments, all the gear. We're going to go through everything about what makes this guy the most powerful commander in the game and arguably the most valuable. So stick around as we get you ready to play with BQ. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your boy War Daddy Chatsky. I put videos together all the time. And I stream all the time. I love making content for this game. I absolutely love being able to provide players and friends of mine and everybody I know in the community all the different aspects and different things that I see in the game, and to help make you and your accounts more valuable, to get the most value out of them, and to be as efficient as possible, and to just be better at the game. If you like the community, or you want to know more about the community, you can join my Discord. It's in the link in the description. My Discord is fantastic. I got 6,000 members in there, and we go in there on the Discord and we talk about all the different pairings and all the different things. It's a place to go for people to kind of nerd out on the game, to ask questions, beginner players, late game players, it doesn't matter. So please consider joining that Discord and come join our community. And if you enjoy the videos and the streams, throw a thumbs up on it. And if you're not subscribed, consider doing so, because it doesn't cost you anything and it really helps the channel. We're pushing well through 30,000 subscribers, and it's only going up. And so this video, we wanted to talk about BQ. He's been in the game now for a while, and we have tested him. We've run him in KVK. We've figured out all the different things about this guy that makes him so good. And I'm going to give you some pairings that you might not even think about. And we're going to talk about his talents and some of the other things. But first and foremost, this guy is legit. He is the main dude in the game right now. He's a 5-target AoE, blasting out smite to everything. And smite has really been propelled, not only in the field, but in the garrisons and rallies, because of the Pincer formation. The Pincer formation is making smite unbreakable. It is absolutely crazy to think of where infantry has come in the last 3 years, and how literally players can run 3 infantry marches, and it's meta. That's what's crazy. And so with that being said, here's our boy here. And let's just go through his skills real quick. We've done this before, but let's just kind of reacclimate ourselves to them. He does a 2,400 damage factor to 5 targets. That's the most damage of any commander in the game. Now you have a 3,000 target damage on Subatai's Rally. That's single target. You have Arthur that does 2,800. That's on 3 targets. This guy collectively for 5 targets does absolutely crazy stuff. He even has like this little each target has a 30% chance to take 15% extra damage. That is fantastic. So just massive damage, and it's smite damage. There's not a lot of smite damage mitigation talents and smite damage mitigation skills in the game. So this guy is absolutely cutting through all the defensive mitigations and defensive measures that players can put up, and he's just laying down so much damage. His second skill, March Speed, is great. The health bonus for infantry is great. Health is absolutely a must for infantry if you can ever find it. It's only 10%. That's not phenomenal, but it's good. And then the attack bonus of 40%. Now you got to remember, with the new KVK crystal tech that probably will be put in all the different KVK stories, attack is a little more valuable than it was, because you can't get it like you can in previous KVKs. But I'm not saying it's meta. I'm not saying attack is just amazing and you need to go with attack gear and focus that. You don't need to do that. But it is nice to have a little bit of a push with attack. Okay, his third skill starts throwing in the malice effect. Okay, malice stacks, you have to think of it this way. You get 10 stacks. Okay, 10 stacks of malice ramp up, and if the number of malice stacks is higher than the target's percentage of units remaining, that's the target's HP, we call it, the target's troop count, it spends those 10 malice stacks to deal smite damage of 300. Okay, and you ramp up these malice stacks, and as you start as you start hitting a target and its HP gets lower and lower, all of a sudden you start seeing red numbers fly off everywhere. And that's because this can fire off every other second. There's only a 1 second cooldown. And so you can perpetually keep firing this thing off as you keep your malice stacks higher. And it also gains a 10% bonus to sev wounds inflicted and a 20% bonus to rage recovery speed. So for that 1 second, you're starting to start the rage engine. Okay, for that 1 second, you're getting a 20% bonus for rage recovery. Well, if that 1 second fires off every other second, that is really, really good to be able to get that rage going extremely fast. Okay. His fourth skill, now this is important because this adds to the malice stacks, okay? First of all, you just get a straight 10% more normal damage. That's great. That's all white numbers. That's all basic attack, counter attack. But you got to remember that smite damage is enhanced, okay, by normal damage benefits, okay? So normal damage bonuses are absolutely great for smite damage. We've known this for a long time. So 10% more normal damage is like 10% all damage for this guy. When attacking a field troop, your troops will gain 10% stacks of malice upon entering the combat. Okay, so you immediately get 10%. Then you immediately get 10 stacks, and then you get 10 stacks over here off of every skill cycle or smite damage or skill cycle, active skill that fires off. You get 10 stacks of malice. Okay, so you're ramping up the malice stacks. So you get 10 stacks when you enter battle, you get 10 stacks for your active skill, and you get 10 stacks of malice for every 10% of units you lose. Okay, and so you start rolling up these malice stacks. You're always going to be sitting. Let's say you got 50 or 60 or 70 malice stacks loaded up, and then you turn in a murder ball on a target with half health, where you're immediately going to hit 2 of those effects. Immediately, you're going to drop your malice stacks to 60, then you're going to drop your malice stacks to 50. You're going to hit them off every other second. You're going to do that smite damage that we talked about. By then, the target is down to 30 or 20%. So you're going to keep firing off those malice stacks until the target's dead. That's what's great about this. And then you also have a 5% bonus to smite damage, dealt up to 30% for 10% units it is missing. This is kind of what we call a Honda effect. Okay, part of the reason why Honda was good for a long time. Where is it? Is on his fourth skill. Yeah, for every 8% of units it loses, 5% if you're containing 2 or more troop types, their troop deals 5% more skill damage up to a bonus of 60%. You know, Honda was good back in the day because you could be half health and you could ramp up your skill damage bonus so high that you're still doing red numbers as if you're like almost max health. That was the biggest benefit to Honda. Well, there's still a little bit of that benefit over here. Now you're only running it up to 30%, but the point is, as he gets weaker as far as the troops remaining, he gets stronger and stronger with his smite damage. And then this also goes into play for his expertise, because when you are in the field, I'm going to ignore this one real quick. When reduced to 50% of units remaining, you deal 60% more damage and take 30% less damage. Okay, so as you're dropping troop count and you get down to 50% HP or 50% of troops remaining, you get this buff for 6 seconds. Okay, this gives him a cool tanky factor, and you also do a lot of damage. And if you get focused and targeted, it's going to happen. You're going to die. You're going to get focused and targeted at some point fighting in KVK. And when you do, you're able to stall being killed with this 50% less damage buff that you do for 6 seconds. You're able to stall out, being killed maybe 1 or 2 or 3 seconds, which in a murder ball fight, and when seconds are so valuable in a murder ball fight, this is very, very valuable. If you can stay alive for another 1 or 2 or 3 seconds while your other marches are hammering down on their target, then it's really, really good. And then, of course, you're doing kind of a Leo effect here where you're ramping up so much damage, but you're not really doing that much damage. The key here is the 50% less damage taken, and you get that for 6 seconds. By then, you're already dead, and you're good to go. Okay? Now, let's come up here to the top. This is very rare to do. Now, you can do this on barbarians. It is showing that you can go hit a handful of barbarians and get this 400k enemy units that are severely wounded, and then you get that 5% bonus to damage dealt. It's almost impossible to do that just purely in the field. Almost impossible. If you roll him out in the field, you could be fighting for 15 or 20 minutes and you could try to stay as full health as possible. Then you start ramping up the sevs to 200 and 300,000. You get to 400,000, your kill points on one march is getting upwards of 9 and 10 million, okay, which is almost impossible to do. So this is really a misnomer. It's not really anything anybody takes seriously. Nobody's going to spend the time to go hit a bunch of barbs and then turn around and go fight in a murder ball. So you got to just pretend this thing doesn't doesn't even exist. But the expertise is pretty good when it comes to being able to have some sustain. So those are his skills. That's how it works. Now, I'm going to talk about how you can run this guy 5-5-5 or 5-5-1-1 later on, but those are his skills and how he works and how he is so powerful, okay? So from there, let's go into the talents. There's 2 real easy talent builds. You can see these in my Discord. I've got them in the talent build. This is what we call our Canyon talent build, okay? I got it labeled Canyon up here, and it's because I'm running him primary. This works really, really well in Canyon, but Hold the Line is kind of a trap. Okay, because this day and age and fighting in KVK, it's not the most ideal because it's so hard to stay in combat and it's so hard to stay targeted. Even if you're going back and forth fighting and you're targeted, you're only going to be targeted for a couple of seconds. So this thing really doesn't have a chance to have much value. In Canyon, you put it on there, you run them front line, and you dictate that they are attacking you, right? And Canyon. So this is my Canyon lineup, full smite, okay? And I even run some over here to the bitter end because you're gonna run up more damage over time as you're hammering the opponent. And so with that, I gotta have the rage, I gotta have the iron spear that does damage to calves, I gotta have the normal damage that this does. I love having the health for infantry. I love running Hold the Line, and then I love running full smite. Okay, so that's kind of my Canyon lineup. In the field, and the most important, this is how to run it. I got to give some credit to Cortex. He started running this with Ragnar a while back and skipping Hold the Line because it's just so attractive to use this. It really is a good talent. However, in the field, it's all about march speed. You're getting 6% here, you're getting 6% here, you're getting 6% here. That's 18% march speed that you got to have in the field when you run this guy primary. From there, you've got obviously the rage, which is good. You've got you're going to be hammering the cavalries like we showed. You got the normal damage. You got the health, and then you come full smite over here, and then I like to run this up here, okay? Because you're going to take 6% more normal damage. Well, that's not really a big deal. Basically, you're betting that the murder ball you're fighting has a lower percentage of smite and combo damage dealers. Now, that number is increasing as these commanders keep coming out because we're getting more smite and we're getting more combo damage dealing commanders. But for right now, I would take 6% more smite damage, and I'll also take 6% more normal damage on my actual troops. I'm okay with that. And so this is something that is pretty beneficial when it comes to it. And that's how to run it in the field. That's how to have max march speed. That's how to do all the things down here in the smite tree. We love it. You got the counterattack here. This is the key. Fight or flight is one of the best talents in the game. And it's in the smite tree, and you mitigate that rage. Okay. Every troop you hit with smite, you mitigate their rage 45. We're hitting 5 targets with this guy. He's like Luce. It's crazy what he's able to do. And so with that, you throw thick skin in there. You take 6% less skill damage. This is less and less valuable nowadays because you don't have near as many skill damage marches out there in the field that you're fighting. But the key is you want to get to Thunderous Smite. This is really, really good. Any type of smite damage, there's a 30% chance the damage will be increased by 10%. There's no cooldown on this, so you just want to ramp up the smite damage as much as possible, and that's every time. So when you go into the Malice stacks and you start spinning those, you got a chance, 30% chance to increase the damage by 10%. You do that with your Malice stacks here. You do that with your AoE here on your active skill. So you have multiple chances to do that when it comes to that particular Thunderous Smite talent. So that kind of helps you out the talents. This is what you run in the field. Okay, march speed is key. You don't want to jack with Hold the Line. You do not want to mess with that. You want to have the march speed versatility tree. You don't even mess with. It's worthless almost when you come into the field fighting, and then you go full smite. That's how you run the talents, okay? So now that we've done that, we need to talk about the gear, okay? Because this is still meta for infantry. All right, and when I say that, I just mean a 4-piece infantry set. Those of you who are not rallying and garrisoning, this gives you 10% march speed. All of a sudden, we've got a lot of march speed going on with this guy with the talents and how we run our gear, okay? And people, this is also another misnomer. People have to understand that the particular gear that you have sometimes on infantry, a lot of people are thinking the new KVK tech with more defense and health and less attack. Oh, I could run more attack on my gear. No, that's not the case. Absolutely not the case. You want to run as much defense and health as you can from gear and armaments. That's the key. That's where the work, that's where the value, and that's worth it to do that, okay? Greatest glories, I am not running the smite accessory yet. We'll take a look at that in a second, but greatest glory is just great. Okay, you're doing 6.5% more normal damage. These are easy blueprints to get. It is the cost on forging and refining and awakening is less than KVK accessories. So this is very easy to tier up and get, and then you get Divine Might, which is great. It's great for your smite. It's great for skill damage. It's great for everything that you're able to do. Okay, and so from that standpoint, it is really, really good to continue to run the greatest glory. Now I think I've got my other horn and ring that are critted over here on Guan, but greatest glory is great, horn's great, ring's great on this guy. I like the horn because I like generating rage quicker. Just depending on your pairings, you can put drums on them if you're going to run them with Luce and all those different things. Now let's get to the most important thing, and that is the smite formation. This formation, y'all, is absolutely broken. 10% more smite damage. I mean, it's just wild what this formation does. And then all the special inscriptions, okay, and all the rare inscriptions are just off the charts. Absolutely off the charts. Let me show you here. When you go into the rare inscriptions imploder, this is so good. I'm gonna have a card at the end that goes into my Pincer inscription tier list. So I kind of talk about all the inscriptions, what they do, how they do it, and I give you a tier list of how that's gonna work. But even Raider is like one of the best rare inscriptions you can get. I hate the cooldown, but you do get a 2% boost, not bonus, but boost to smite damage. And then whenever you deal smite damage, you have a 50% chance to gain 20% rage faster for the next 3 seconds. That's awesome. That is awesome as a rare inscription. Okay, and so there are so many different things that you got to look at when it comes to some of this stuff on Pincer. Now, the one slot I would say airtight and hard-headed in the flag slot, not a big deal. I am not very happy about this at all. It doesn't do much, but the airtight does do some damage mitigation. But basically, this is a rally and garrison. Basically, this is a garrison inscription to combat or to counter Attila Subutai. Okay, because nobody else runs combo in the field outside of Arthur Primary. All right, and so from that standpoint, you're not really getting much benefit in the field. But everything else, absolutely crazy. 10% boost to smite damage. Wow. Okay. Demolisher's awesome. You get a 5% boost to smite damage. And then you've got obviously that cool effect where you ignore the defense on multiple targets. And it is pretty wild. And you got a chance to get 100 extra rage if you're only doing that with one target. It's absolutely great. Toppler's the same thing, except you're able to increase the smite damage for the next 3 seconds. And it is really, really good. So the inscriptions are crazy on this, but just Pincer overall, just the base of it, 10% more smite damage. Okay, and then if you can get a rare or a special inscription on the emblem down here in the bottom left, you're boosting that smite damage. It's just too good. It is so good. It's so much more powerful than any other formation in the game, and this is what really makes smite just incredible right now when it comes to BQ, Luce, Wallace, and now CJ. Speaking of CJ, we're going to talk about this. So let's go into the pairings, shall we? We're going to go into the pairings of this stuff. And first and foremost, you're going to look that BQ with Luce is the best pairing you could do. Too much damage, tons of buffing and debuffing. You got the March speed stuff with Luce where he slows people down. You are doing so much. Luce is still one of the most powerful commanders in the game. Like he is, you have to have him. He is must-have value commander. I've got like BQ, Luce, Philip are like my 3 highest value commanders along with Arthur. You put those 4 at the highest value and what you need to invest in. But BQ is, or Luce is still there. That's what's crazy about this guy. So in the field, a BQ Luce March is the best March you can run in this game. No question. Like there's no question. They're both overpowered commanders, and they both get the benefit of the Pincer formation and smite. That's what's crazy about them. And so that is the best march you can run in the game. If you're only running 1 smite march and 1 skill damage march for infantry, you run Ragnar CPO and BQ Luce, set it and forget it. Those are 2 of the best marches you can put on the field in the game. It's wild. AoE everywhere. massive damage everywhere, buffing and debuffing everywhere, rage mitigation from the smite tree. I mean, all kinds of stuff. And so that makes it very, very potent. There is no argument. Even Cav players and Archer players will tell you BQ with Luce is the best March you can run in the game. And so along with that, the next one I think with BQ is William Wallace. And a lot of people, there's some people who don't have William Wallace and have gotten themselves into a situation to where they haven't needed to get him. They've just opted for the Luce Alex combination or the Luce Phillip combination, and that's fine. But those of us who do have William Wallace, this thing right here, bro, this is what makes it go. Okay, first of all, you take 10% less normal damage. That's fine. This is the main thing. Whenever this commander's troops deal smite damage with a factor over 1,000. Basically, anytime you do smite damage with a factor over 1,000, which is good because if you pair with BQ, you don't want this triggering when BQ does his malice, right? His 300 smite damage factor. You want it triggering when he does his big damage, okay? And so there is an 80% chance that that damage will be increased by 40%. This is why BQ with Wallace behind is phenomenal. This thing will fire off when BQ, odds are 80% chance it'll fire off when BQ first hits his big smite damage. You enhance this by 80% with the boosts and all the things that come from Pincer with the 20% boost that you have, 10% from Thundering. This is if you have full legendary inscriptions. 5% here, you've got another 5% here. You basically enhance that 40% damage increase. I said 80, it's 80% chance. 40% damage increase you enhance with the boost. It's wild. The cooldown's 10 seconds, so you generally get this every other skill cycle, and it works really, really well. Of course, we know William Wallace has the hard-hitting single target damage, which is great. And then you deal smite damage up to 3 enemy troops currently attacking this commander's troops. So if you're getting focused, you're going to kick back some smite damage. Okay, so it's just smite damage everywhere. Okay, so he's a really good commander to put with BQ. All right, you're going to add another 10% health. You got 30% attack. You've got 20% march speed. So it's very fast in how this march can run, especially with the 4-piece set for equipment and especially with the talents that you run. Okay, we talked about this one. You come down over here, you do 10% more smite damage, 10% more normal damage. Okay, 10% more normal is like all damage. 10% more smite is all enhanced and increased by your boosts and everything else. It's really, really good. And then obviously the thing I really, really like about William that is a very underrated skill is whenever this commander uses an active skill or is slowed, it cleanses all slow effects, not just from you, but up to two nearby enemy or a friendly troops. So your march and then two other marches in your murder ball get to cleanse that slow effect. This helps get you out of trouble. I know you don't see it. I know people don't understand how that works because there's not numbers involved with it, but you will find yourself getting out of trouble so much faster when William Wallace is in your lineup. And then you also get a damage absorbing shield, okay, of 1,000. That's a 3,000 damage factor that he puts on those 3 marches. Okay, 1,000 for each march. And you get that for 2 seconds. Okay, so now all of a sudden you can run away faster and you cover yourself while you're running, and that cooldown is 10 seconds. However, when that thing does fire off, it's very, very valuable. William is still really good. And Pincer has just made him better and better, okay? Because Smite is ruling the game right now. So BQ, Pincer, another good one. Also, and I'm going to do a CJ guide pretty soon. Where's my CJ? I've almost got this guy maxed. Let's go. And so CJ, now a Smite commander. They completely changed his kit. We talked about this guy. He's really, really good. And so from that standpoint, you have an AoE of Smite damage of 1,500. And when you have 30% units remaining on the target, you're going to silence him for a second. That's not really a huge deal. And so from that standpoint, we'll see kind of how this thing works. The next thing we've got going on is this commander retains only infantry units. You gain 15% march speed, 40% attack. I love that the Smite commanders here all get march speed and they're all ramping up attack. But the march speed is kind of key here, okay? He's a KVK2 commander, by the way. This is what's wild. If this commander's troop is on the map, whenever it takes any kind of skill, smite, or combo damage, you have a 50% chance to reduce that by 50%. That's phenomenal. That's really, really good. The cooldown sucks, but that is really, really good for some damage mitigation, okay? If this commander troops are only infantry units, you deal 15% more normal damage. Awesome. That's all damage for Smite Commanders. Whenever it launches a basic attack on a field troop, it has an 80% chance to cleanse. Okay, cleanse effect of active skill can be prevented by the silence effect. Cleanse effects from the passive skill can take effect no matter what. So the cleanse effect from the passive skill, that's what this is. This is a passive skill. They take effect no matter what. So it's a debuff that gets taken away. If you have multiple stacks of poison, that poison stack goes down by a stack. Okay, if you have a debuff put on you to where you're taking more normal damage or smite damage, or you're taking more skill damage, this cleanses that. And so it is really, really good and sneaky how that thing works. And it's 100% chance to trigger when it's expertise. I've only got 5554. Okay, then this is an enhancement on the expertise. And it goes back to that 50% chance to reduce the damage of smite, skill, or combo by 50%. Then it kicks back more damage. Okay, that's what's a lot of fun about this. You deal smite damage up to 3 near enemy troops in a fan shape for 500. Every troop takes the 50% nerf. That's a cooldown of 10 seconds. I hate the cooldowns of 10 seconds. But all of a sudden, you're ramping up more and more chances to do damage with CJ. And since Pincer is so strong, again, I can't say this enough. CJ goes above Alex as a pair with Luce. Okay, so CJ naturally is going to go above Alex and really anything but William Wallace and Luce when it comes to BQ. You're just running that Pincer, you're running this thing up. Plus, guess what? We don't have the museum buff for this guy yet. So we're going to wait and see what that looks like. But the BQ with CJ is definitely an option. And then I threw in Philip, because Philip works with everybody. He's my favorite commander. He works with everybody. He's incredible. You can put him behind anybody. It works really well. He does the all damage stuff, and he's just fine with BQ. Okay, if you have nothing else to run and you need to put your Philip somewhere, and you've got Luce running with CJ, or you got Luce running with Alex, you can put Philip behind BQ and go have fun with it. Okay, so Philip is great for everybody. So you always got to add him with the pairings, and that's what makes it really pretty incredible. Now, one more thing I'm going to show you guys before I get out of here. I'm going to show you how to run this guy in Canyon a little bit, okay? Because a lot of people have a misconception with BQ's expertise. Okay, a lot of people say, oh, this is an easy BQ Constantine take situation, and it is. I agree with you. However, this is what I found. Okay, this dude does so much damage, and he's so powerful with the armament and with Luce that you cannot break them up. You got to run them together because they are going to do insane damage. So when I come in here on the Canyon, this is very, very important. You want Luce to be behind BQ. Okay, I know a lot of people like to always use Luce with Constantine. Now I move Constantine with Guan. And the reason why is because Guan's got a silence. When Guan silences, it keeps them from killing you as fast as possible. I'm going to put Guan back here. I'm going to put BQ behind my Huo. And let's see what I'm going to do here. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to take the siege off because I don't want any kind of funny business going on here. And actually, I think this is how I'm going to run it. Is that how I want to run it? I'm going to do it like this. But the reason why I bring this up is because BQ now with Luce does more damage than anyone and anything when it comes to Sunset Canyon. If you can get the AoE to work, it's going to do more kills. And it's pretty wild how that works out. So let's see how this thing goes. We're going to show you. We like having BQ and Luce together. It's going to do a ton of damage, even though it's just single target right now. And I've got my Guan in a good position. I'm silencing all his marches, which is good. And this is how we're running it. I've already got his Huo killed. I'm moving up here. Now, this is where BQ starts doing work. His AoE starts really ramping up because he's got Luce behind him and he's doing big damage. Okay, so we're going to clear out his Trajan. My Guan just died, and now I've got him in a good position to where we're going to clear out every march that he has, not even close. And now BQ, look at it. He's hitting this Guan too. Okay, the AoE on BQ is incredible. It's absolutely great. And so take care of his Luce. Now we all turn on his Guan, and it's dead meat. He's running Guan CPO, and that's how that works. So that's where we're at with Canyon. And so BQ running in Canyon is really, really good. So that's it for us, and that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please throw a thumbs up on it. Give me your comments in the description. Tell me your experiences with BQ, what you like him for. Am I missing any pairings? Am I missing any talents? We've gone through everything. And with that being said, we hope you guys have a great day, broskies.